Pregame.com.
South Florida -3.5 at Syracuse. Friday college football. All right, Marco, I'm going to start. I actually like the home dog here just a little bit. Let me start by asking you a question. If I asked 100 fans what is the one memory they have of South Florida this year, what would it be?
Oh, without question, upsetting Notre Dame in week 1.
Agreed. And if we asked 100 fans the one memory of Syracuse, what would it be?
Probably the missed extra point that the referees blew.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's a good one. The winning as a 14-point dog against West Virginia at home on national TV would be right up there.
Yeah.
You had the favorite in that game, if I remember, on our videos. Maybe you're trying to block that out. But I think it's interesting that when you have teams that aren't in the NFL is different. The worst team, the Colts, the worst team are in the consciousness. The Rams are in the consciousness. But these teams, the 70th or 80th best college football team isn't. And I think as a handicapper, it's important to think about what are those impressions. Sometimes impressions are things from years ago. Mm-hmm. Isn't, Boeheim's a pretty good coach. Oh, wait a minute, that's basketball. I mean, literally, that's the way the average fan is thinking about it. And some of these teams that I don't follow closely, before I do my research, I'm kind of struggling to have any real sense of anything. So ideally, if one memory was positive for a team and one memory was negative, we'd have some potential for value just starting from that. In this case, both are positive. They kind of neutralize each other, but I think it was worth talking about. As I researched this game, the one thing that really struck me, Coach Holtz said that the last game they lost was a heartbreaker, is what he called it. There was a punt return late in the game, tied the game up. The whole thing. Are you familiar with how that went down?
Unfortunately, I am, because I had South Florida in it last Saturday as a play, all too well. They blew a big lead in the fourth quarter, the punt return that you're talking about, but then they were in a position with 9 seconons left in the regulation.
Missed like a 27-yard field goal?
Chip shot. I could have booted it through, yeah.
Well, come on. Plus 350.
They better put a bucket of chicken wings up over the goalpost. I'd have drilled it.
No, you wouldn't want to spill them over. He called that a heartbreaker, and then this is a quote, "I don't know if I've ever been this frustrated," is a quote in the paper this week. So they've lost 5 in a row straight up.
I actually have 4 in a row straight up, 5 to the spread.
Is that right?
Yeah, 4 in a row straight up, 5 in a row to the spread.
What was their 5th game back?
5th game back, they beat UTEP. They
lost ATS.
Yeah.
I always think ATS, I guess. I should always assume that if I don't write it down. But thank you on that. But either way, clearly on a bad run. Syracuse has lost 2 in a row since that West Virginia game. So, I'm not super high on them either. But to me, you got a weekday game, which I always want to favor the home team a little bit more, short week. Number 2, I always like the dog, especially a home dog on a weekday game. And I just, quite frankly, don't understand. I just think there's value here. I think this line should be around pick'em. We're getting 3.5. I look at this as an opinion play, something I'm going to bet if I end up watching the game. But I can't find myself liking South Florida here. Any additional thoughts?
Well, there's no question. You hit it with South Florida. This is a tough game for them to get themselves up on the mat. A side note, the Syracuse game, not quite as deflating as that loss, but last week's game for Syracuse was kind of a unique situation. They got to go against their old coach, the beloved Pasquale. He coaches for Connecticut now. And so they went to Connecticut, and they were all, talking about the revenge of the coach and everything. They lost to their old coach last week. So kind of a flat spot for both teams.
It's a great point. And that's always interesting is the coaching stuff with, when there's a former assistant, when there's a guy that was fired, and the emotional dynamics and motivation around that's one of your strong suits. Okay, so I'm going to project out here South Florida winning the game 24-23. I'm taking the 3.5. It's a pick, but not a super strong one for me. All right, guys. One thing before we talk about the video conversation is we launched something last week called Vegas Rankings, and you can actually go to vegasrankings.com and check that out. And it's something where we've got some of the biggest names in the business, some of the biggest bookmakers. These are guys literally that their decisions affects millions of dollars every Saturday and every Sunday. They are giving us their private power rankings, and we're creating an average, I guess you'd call, of them and putting them out at vegasrankings.com. And this is something that the big media has really gotten excited about. It's being published by me, a new author, at ESPN.com. You can check that out in Chad Millman's blog. And Colin Cowherd's discussing the college rankings on Monday and the NFL rankings on Tuesday on his national radio show. So cool thing. Check it out at vegasrankings.com. And like I said, we're taking every video we do each week, putting it into one thread, and it's a conversation. Any questions you have about what we talked about, if you want to make fun of me for saying it was 5 games instead of 4, you can do any of that. And all of the participants have committed to answering all questions and continuing the conversation. You can get that at pregamevideos.com. Talk to you there.